दोस्तों, वर्ल्ड के सबसे पावरफुल देश अमेरिका के पार्लियामेंट, जिसे अमेरिका में कांग्रेस बोला जाता है। इस पार्लियामेंट में अगर किसी दूसरे देश के पीएम द्वारा भाषण दिया जाता है तो बहुत चर्चा में रहता है। इस बार पीएम मोदी की चर्चा और ज्यादा हो रही है क्योंकि मोदी पहले पीएम हैं जिन्होंने अमेरिकी पार्लियामेंट में 2 बार भाषण दिए। यानी अब तक भारत ही पहला देश है जिसके एक ही पीएम 2 बार इस अमेरिकी सांसद में भाषण दिए। तो अब ऐसे नरेंद्र मोदी जैसे पीएम के लिए उनके इस भाषण को लाइक्स जरूर देना, ताकि भारत का कद पूरी दुनिया में और भी ऊंचा उठे और हर भारतीय दुनिया के किसी भी कोने में हो तो वह गर्व महसूस कर सके, क्योंकि वर्ल्ड के सबसे पावरफुल देश के पार्लियामेंट में जाना ही बड़ा बात होता है। लेकिन वहां पर जो भाषण मोदी जी ने दिया और उनकी जो स्वागत हुई, वह सभी भारत के दुश्मन देशों को संदेश है कि भारत से दोस्ती कर लो, वरना भारत जिसके पीछे पड़ गया उसकी हालत वही होगी जो आज पाकिस्तान की हो रही है। अब आपको दिखाता हूँ पीएम मोदी ने भाषण में क्या कुछ बोला। भाषण सिंपल इंग्लिश में है तो आप सभी इस भाषण को समझ सकते हैं, इसलिए भाषण को अंत तक जरूर देखना।
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and the distinct honor in presenting to you His Excellency Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Vice President, distinguished members of the U.S. Congress, ladies and gentlemen, I'm deeply honored by the invitation to address this joint meeting of the U.S. Congress. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for opening the doors of this magnificent Capitol. This temple of democracy has encouraged and empowered other democracies the world over. It manifests the spirit of this great nation, which is, in Abraham Lincoln's words, was conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. In granting me this opportunity, you have honored the world's largest democracy and its 1.25 billion people. As a representative of the world's largest democracy, it is indeed a privilege to speak to the leaders of its oldest. Mr. Speaker, 2 days ago, I began my visit by going to the Arlington National Cemetery, the final resting place of many brave soldiers of this great land. I honored their courage and sacrifice for the ideals of freedom and democracy. It was also the 72nd anniversary of the D-Day. On that day, thousands from this great country fought to protect the torch of liberty. They sacrificed their lives so that the world lives in freedom. I applaud, India applauds the great sacrifices of the men and women from the land of the free and the home of the brave in service of mankind. India knows what this means because our soldiers have fallen in distant battlefields for the same ideals. That is why the threads of freedom and liberty from a strong bond between our two democracies. Mr. Speaker, our nations may have been shaped by diverse histories, cultures, and faiths. Yet, our belief in democracy for our nations and liberty for our countrymen is common. The idea that all citizens are created equal is a central pillar of the American Constitution. Our founding fathers too shared the same belief and sought individual liberty for every citizen of India. There were many who doubted India when, as a newly independent nation, we repose our faith in democracy. Indeed, wagers were made on our future, but the people of India did not waver. Our founders created a modern nation with freedom, democracy, and equality at the essence of its soul. And in doing so, they assured that we continue to celebrate our age-old diversity. Today, across its individuals and institutions, in its villages and cities, in its streets and states, are anchored in equal respect for all faiths and in the melody of hundreds of its languages and dialects. India lives as one. India grows as one. India celebrates as one. Mr. Speaker, modern India is in its 70th year. For my government, the Constitution is its real holy book. And in that holy book, freedom of faith, speech, and franchise, and equality of all citizens, regardless of background, are enshrined as fundamental rights. $800 million of my countrymen may exercise the freedom of franchise once every 5 years. But all the 1.25 billion of our citizens have freedom from fear, a freedom they exercise every moment of their lives. Distinguished members, engagement between our two democracies has been visible in the manner in which our thinkers impacted one another and shaped the course of our societies. Thoreau's idea of civil disobedience influenced our political thoughts. And similarly, the call by the great sage of India, Swami Vivekananda, to embrace humanity was most famously delivered in Chicago. Gandhi's non-violence inspired the heroism of Martin Luther King. Today, a mere distance of 3 miles separates the Martin Luther King Memorial at Tidal Basin from the statue of Gandhi at Massachusetts Avenue. This proximity of their memorials in Washington mirrors the closeness of ideals and value they believe in. The genius of Dr. Bhimrao Babasaheb Ambedkar was nurtured in the years he spent at the Columbia University a century ago. The impact of U.S. Constitution on him was reflected in his drafting of the Indian Constitution some 3 decades later. Our independence was ignited by the same idealism that fueled your struggle for freedom. No wonder then that former Prime Minister of India, Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, called India and the US natural allies. No wonder that the shared ideals and common philosophy of freedom shaped the bedrock of our ties. No wonder then that President Obama has called our ties the defining partnership of the 21st century. Mr. Speaker, more than 15 years ago, Prime Minister Vajpayee stood here and gave a call to step out of the shadow of hesitation of the past. The pages of our friendship since then tell a remarkable story. Today, our relationship has overcome the hesitations of history.